A conflict in North Korea, John, would be probably the worst kind of fighting in most people's lifetimes.
This latest test shows an increasingly bold North Korea, defying repeated warnings from the U.S. and its allies. It comes as we're seeing new images of North Korean leader Kim Jong-un that were released over the weekend.
With tensions already high in the region, North Korea launched yet another missile, its third test in 3 weeks. The latest, according to U.S. officials, a short-range ballistic missile flying for 6 minutes and nearly 250 miles before crashing into the Sea of Japan.
The North Korean regime has hundreds of artillery cannons and rocket launchers within range of one of the most densely populated cities on Earth, which is the capital of South Korea.
Today, the old duck and cover films from Cold War days seem campy and quaint. To many, a nuclear blast and its resultant electromagnetic pulse, or EMP, seems so unimaginable, so unlikely, that few worry about it, and fewer still take any precautions.
It's not real, and it's something out of a James Bond movie. The general consensus is that it is not a real threat. It's not imminent by any stretch of the imagination.
Tell that to Dr. Peter Vincent Pry, who heads Congress's EMP Commission.
We have information, for example, the data from actual high-altitude nuclear detonations that were conducted by us and the Russians back in the 1961-62 time frame that did things like knock the lights out in Hawaii.
An EMP is a short burst of electromagnetic energy that all nuclear explosions produce to varying degrees. A large EMP triggered over the United States from an orbiting nuke at the right altitude could fry the circuitry of cell phones, render electronic banking, automobile computers, railways, air traffic control, and airplanes themselves useless. Food would rot in refrigerators and in farm fields, with no means of transporting agri-products to population centers. In the following weeks and months, a truly Mad Max world would evolve. Dr. Pry believes the naivete about EMP pervades the Western democracies, where nukes are kept mostly out of sight and out of mind.
But for totalitarian and authoritarian states, as in the case of Iran, and possibly North Korea, the use of nuclear weapons is not only unthinkable, but in their open source military doctrine, they've written for years about being able to win a nuclear war, that you can fight a nuclear war.
Adding to EMP worries, North Korea's recent successful test of a solid-fueled ballistic missile. The solid fuel needs less preparation, meaning less warning time for those targeted. In addition, North Korea also has at least 2 observation satellites that orbit over the U.S. at an altitude ideal for an EMP attack.
It is becoming almost a weekly exercise, and tonight we are again confronted with a North Korean missile test, one that could bring the communist regime closer to its goal of attaining a nuclear weapon.
At this time, what we know, I'd prefer to keep silent about, because we may actually know some things the North Koreans don't even know.
What keeps you awake at night?
Nothing. I keep other people awake at night.
In the past few weeks, the Pentagon has doubled its firepower in the region. The USS Ronald Reagan Strike Group deployed from Japan, joining the Carl Vinson in the region, giving American commanders 2 aircraft carriers and more warships capable of launching cruise missiles. And James, the Pentagon is conducting a missile test of its own tomorrow. The Missile Defense Agency will launch an intercontinental ballistic missile from the Marshall Islands in the Pacific into space and attempt to shoot it down with an interceptor missile from a base in California.